In the heart of West Africa, in what is now modern-day Ghana, a story of incredible courage, leadership, and resistance unfolded. It's a story that has echoed through generations, the tale of a woman who rose to lead an army against one of the most powerful empires in the world. This is the story of Yaa Asantewaa, the Queen Mother of Ejisu and the last great African warrior queen. Our story begins in the late 19th century. The Ashanti Empire, a powerful and wealthy kingdom, was facing a growing threat, the British Empire. For decades, the British had been expanding their influence in the region, drawn by the riches of gold and the strategic importance of the land. They had already fought several wars against the Ashanti, known as the Anglo-Ashanti Wars. Yaa Asantewaa was born around 1840. While not a queen by birth in the European sense, she held a position of immense power and respect. She was the Queen Mother of Ejisu, one of the key states within the Ashanti Confederacy. The Queen Mother, or Wema, was a vital figure in Ashanti society. She was the keeper of royal lineage, a key advisor to the chief, and a powerful political figure in her own right. She had the authority to nominate and even depose a chief. Yaa Asantewaa was known for her wisdom, her strength of character, and her deep commitment to her people and their traditions. The late 1800s were a turbulent time. The British, determined to break the power of the Ashanti, captured the capital, Kumasi, in 1874. They continued to chip away at the empire's sovereignty, and in 1896 they delivered a devastating blow. They arrested and exiled the Asanahin, the king of the Ashanti, Prempeh I, along with his family and other key leaders, sending them thousands of miles away to the Seychelles Islands. Imagine the shock and despair of the Ashanti people. Their king, the spiritual and political heart of their nation, was gone. The British imposed their rule, dismantled the Ashanti government, and it seemed like the once mighty empire was on its knees. For 4 years, a tense and uneasy peace held. The Ashanti, leaderless and demoralized, were unsure of their next move. Then came the final insult. On March 28, 1900, the British governor, Sir Frederick Hodgson, marched into Kumasi with a small group of soldiers. He called a meeting of the remaining Ashanti chiefs, the ones who hadn't been exiled. In a display of supreme arrogance and ignorance of Ashanti culture, he demanded something unthinkable. He demanded the Golden Stool. Now you have to understand, the Golden Stool, or the Sikadwa Kofi, was not just a piece of furniture. It was the absolute soul of the Ashanti nation. According to legend, it was conjured from the heavens by the great priest Okomfo Anoki and landed in the lap of the first Asanahin, Osai Tutu. It was believed to house the spirit of the entire Ashanti people, their past, present, and future. It was more sacred than the king himself. No one, not even the Asanahin, ever sat on it. To surrender the Golden Stool would be to surrender their very identity, their dignity, and their existence as a people. Hodgson's demand was met with a stunned, deafening silence. The chiefs were shocked, consulted, and afraid. They knew that to give up the stool was impossible, but to refuse meant war with the mighty British Empire. They retreated to hold a secret meeting, a council of despair. They debated for hours, many of them arguing for surrender, believing that resistance was futile. The spirit of the once proud Ashanti warriors seemed to be broken. It was in this moment of crisis, as the men wavered, that Yaa Asantewaa, then in her 60s, rose to her feet. The accounts of her speech have become legendary, a rallying cry that would ignite a rebellion. She looked at the demoralized chiefs and spoke with a fire that shamed their fear. She said, "I must speak my mind. I see that some of you fear to go forward to fight for our king. If it were in the brave days of Osei Tutu, Okomfo Anokio, and Apokuwere, chiefs would not sit down to see their king taken away without firing a single shot. No white man would have dared to speak to the chiefs of Ashanti in the way the governor spoke to you this morning. Is it true that the bravery of the Ashanti is no more? I cannot believe it. It cannot be. I must say this. If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we will. We, the women, will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight till the last of us falls on the battlefield. Her words were like lightning. They electrified the room, shaming the men and stirring their dormant courage. Shame turned to anger, and anger to resolve. Inspired by her fierce determination, the chiefs rallied. They swore an oath to fight the British and to protect the Golden Stool at all costs. And they appointed Yaa Asantewaa as the commander-in-chief of the Ashanti army. And so began the war that would be known in British history as the War of the Golden Stool, but known to the Ashanti and to the world as the Yaa Asantewaa War, at the head of an army of thousands. Yaa Asantewaa, a woman in her 60s, orchestrated a brilliant military campaign. The Ashanti forces laid siege to the British fort in Kumasi, trapping Governor Hudson and his soldiers inside. The siege lasted for months. Yaa Asantewaa and her generals used their intimate knowledge of the terrain, employing guerrilla tactics that frustrated and outmaneuvered the better-equipped British forces. They cut telegraph wires, blocked supply routes, and launched relentless attacks. The British were caught completely off guard. They had underestimated the resolve of the Ashanti and never imagined they would be led by a woman. The resistance was so effective that Britain had to call in massive reinforcements from other parts of its empire, sending thousands of troops and modern artillery to crush the rebellion. For several months, from March to September of 1900, the Ashanti army, under Yaa Asantewa's leadership, fought fiercely. They defended their capital and their sacred stool with a bravery that won the admiration of even their enemies. They knew they were outgunned, but they fought for their freedom, their culture, and their honor. Ultimately, the sheer military might of the British Empire proved to be too much. With superior firepower and overwhelming numbers, the British relief column eventually broke the siege and captured Kumasi. The war was brutal, with heavy casualties on both sides. Yaa Asantewaa and her key advisors managed to escape and continued to fight a guerrilla war for several more months. But the British were relentless in their pursuit. Finally, in early 1901, she and 15 of her closest leaders were captured. Just as they had done with King Prempeh, the British exiled Yaa Asantewaa and her comrades. They were sent to the Seychelles, an archipelago in the Indian Ocean, thousands of miles from their home. She would never see her beloved Asante land again. Yaa Asantewaa lived out the rest of her days in exile, passing away in 1921. But did she lose? In the short term, militarily, yes. The Ashanti Empire was officially annexed and became a protectorate of the British Gold Coast colony. But in the long run, Yaa Asantewa's defiance achieved a profound victory. The British, having learned a hard and bloody lesson, never again asked for the Golden Stool. They had finally understood its significance. The stool was kept safe, and to this day it remains in Kumasi, a symbol of Ashanti unity and strength. Her war of resistance also ensured the cultural survival of the Ashanti people. It reawakened their sense of pride and identity. Decades later, in 1924, King Prempeh I was finally allowed to return from exile, and in 1935, the Ashanti Confederacy was restored, albeit with limited powers. The path to Ghana's eventual independence in 1957 was paved by brave individuals like Yaa Asantewaa, who refused to let their spirit be broken. Today, Yaa Asantewaa is revered as a national hero in Ghana. She is a symbol of courage, of resistance against colonialism, and of female leadership. Schools are named after her, statues are built in her honor, and her story is taught to every Ghanaian child. She is a reminder that leadership is not about gender or age, but about courage, conviction, and the willingness to stand up for what is right, even in the face of impossible odds. The story of Yaa Asantewaa is more than just a historical account. It's an enduring inspiration. She was a queen, a general, a freedom fighter, and a woman who dared to challenge an empire. Her legacy is not one of defeat, but of the unyielding power of the human spirit. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories of incredible figures from history.